Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. On this video, Kelly and I are going to kind of just discuss something that we sit around and talk about when we have spare time, whenever that happens. Do we have a lot of spare time?
Not lately.
Okay. But it's really kind of an assessment or evaluation of where we are in our homesteading journey and our homesteading goals. And we thought we'd do this video to kind of show where we were, because we've been thinking about this, been talking about this for a bit. But we thought we'd actually share this with you all and ask you guys to give us feedback below so we can kind of get a discussion going. We can't do live since we don't have the bandwidth here to do live on the homestead, so I figured this was the next best thing. So, okay, so as we talk about modern homesteading, we probably should define that. So how would you define modern homesteading, Kelly?
The first thing I would think of would be providing food for yourselves.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the first part, is starting with the food that you provide, the food that you eat, how much of that is raised. I think, again, we've talked about this in previous videos. When you talk about what is homesteading, technically, I mean, if you want to go old school and be 100% accurate, none of us are homesteading. If you're watching this video, you're obviously not homesteading because you're using technology and modern convenience. But I really think homesteading is just kind of a frame of mind to try to be more self-reliant, know where your food comes from, know how to fix stuff that breaks, know how to maximize your dollar, know how to learn how to build things, grow your own food, hunt, trap, all those type of things. I think all fits into that category in our modern times. And of course, with this technology, the fact that you and I can sit here in our driveway in southern West Virginia and broadcast a conversation to people all over the world talking about homesteading, there's a unique time in history that we're taking advantage of as well, and it's kind of neat to share all that back and forth. So that's why we're going to preference our homesteading. I do find it ironic that we're talking about what do we do really well in homesteading and what do we need to improve on, sitting on a concrete driveway. My Chevrolet pickup's over here. Our house is here with air conditioning, electricity, and all that, and we're sitting here talking about how good homesteaders we are. So anyway. So let's dive right in. So as we talked about, what is the one thing that you think that is probably our best success at homesteading, modern homesteading right now at Red Tool House?
I think for us, providing most of our own protein sources. I don't have to buy pork or eggs. Or beef for that matter, because we have someone that raises grass-fed beef for us. But that's one thing I'm excited about.
Yeah, you think about it. So you didn't mention chicken, but obviously we've got chicken, we've got eggs, we've got pork, and then of course getting our beef from our buddy. So you don't have to go to the store. You don't have to worry about, okay, are there recalls on all this stuff, all these things you constantly see in the news about issues with all this protein or these meat supplies. And of course, you could kind of say, I guess, to some degree it may save money, although I think if we really sat down and did a full analysis of all that we put into having these animals, maybe over time, all that infrastructure, we could amortize it over years and we could say, we're saving money. But it is that peace of mind in knowing that it's we know where it came from. We know how it was raised. We know, how it was treated, all that type of stuff. And that's a big win. And I agree. I think that from the perspective of food, that's great.
And hopefully we can expand in that particular area. I'm hoping to get beef. Our own beef, simply because I just want to have it on the farm.
Yeah, we'd really like to have cattle at some point. It's just a matter of figuring that out and obviously getting enough cleared land. We have to do more clearing. But that's actually a pretty good segue. So from your perspective, you think we're doing well homesteading with when it comes to our protein sources. Now, from my perspective, the thing I like the most that gets me excited and think, wow, this is kind of cool, this epitomizes homesteading for us, is as we're clearing land, we've got this 100 acres of Appalachian hardwood forest that we're just living on the very front end of, and we want to clear and go up the valley and address more of that and utilize more of that. Of course, that requires us to remove hardwoods. Well, instead of just bringing pieces, large pieces of equipment in and dozing and burning and all that slash and burn type of stuff, we're going in there and cutting by hand. We're taking that wood, we're bringing it down to the mill, we're milling that, we're producing lumber out of that then goes to create the barn, the chicken coops, pig shelters, other things, stuff we're using up at camp now. So it's kind of neat to see that to me it kind of feels old school, as old school as you can get by running a chainsaw and obviously having a gas powered sawmill. My great grandfather would have killed to have a chainsaw back in his day. But to be able to do that, to say, hey, we're going to go cut this tree down. We're not just going to pile it up and burn it. We're going to actually bring it down here. We're going to put it on the mill. It's going to produce lumber. That lumber is then going to turn around to be used for infrastructure on the farm. And I love that. To me, that's the most exciting. And it's taken us a couple years to get there, several years to get there, in fact, where we have the ability to do that. And again, you look at the investment of equipment, a chainsaw, of course, tractor to drag the logs, a sawmill to mill them, and then we're not kiln drying or anything. So once we've milled, once it's dry, then we're putting it up there. So that to me is what I feel it kind of epitomizes homesteading here at Red Tool House. The fact that we are kind of frontiersmen, clearing land, turning it into lumber, and using that on our property. Well, we've pat ourselves on the back here enough. So what do you think? What do you think improvements? We sit around and talk about some things and say, are we kind of cheating in homesteading? When you're sitting in a air conditioned house and 90-degree weather, you got your feet kicked up and you're having an adult beverage or something, watching TV. Is it like, is this really homesteading? But despite all that, what do you think is an area that you would like to see an improvement that we could maybe work on to do better when it comes to homesteading? Kind of a goal that we're not doing well right now and we need to do better on.
Well, I think that one of the things that I wish that I was better at is eating more at home. Because of convenience and our busy schedule, we're eating out quite often. And I think that's something that we don't do well.
Yeah, I agree. That is a drag. You think about all this great food that we've grown and raised and put in our storage, whether it's canned or frozen or whatever, and then you're sitting there having a Wendy's cheeseburger or something. It's kind of defeats the purpose of what we do. But as we've talked, we are kind of in a season of life thing here with two teenage boys, very active in activities off farm. We're all very active in our church, and the boys are active in their programs. Liam helps run the audio visual at church, so he's using computer equipment and video equipment, so he's learning all that stuff. They both have music practice off-site, visiting with friends, of course, and all the other things that you all do. There's a lot of times that when I'm at the office, you guys are off the homestead too, because you've got things going on.
Yeah, it seems like there's not many days where we're just at home. So, yeah.
And I think that the struggle there is if you're going to be away and you want to have a homestead food consumption mentality, then you got to figure out, okay, are we going to brown bag it everywhere we go? If you're going to spend the day out and about and you're going to go from point A to point B to point C, then are you trying to keep food cool, keep it out of the heat, trying to keep it warm if it's in the middle of the wintertime, all that type of stuff? So that becomes a real hassle. So it does become more of a convenience factor to say, well, let's run through a drive-through here and grab stuff.
On the way. Well, yeah, and I don't, I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't eat out at all. I mean, that's one of the fun things that we get to do,
Sure.
But I want to be more organized and planned. I did get started on meal planning, and that helped tremendously. But keeping up with that and keeping that in my weekly schedule, so that when we know that we have errands that, maybe we do take a sandwich, for lunch because we're going to start errands in the morning and not finish until after lunchtime, that we can just, and that way we're eating healthier. And then just save those times for eating out for, maybe Sunday after church or special occasions or, things like that is what I'd rather do. Okay, so your turn. So what do you think that we're not doing well as homesteaders?
Well, what are we not doing well?
Let's keep this to a small
How
list.
much battery do we have? Well, there's all kinds of things. I sometimes feel like the like that dog in that Pixar movie where he's constantly going squirrel, look at squirrel. It's different things that attract my attention. I'm like, ooh, I want to focus on that. I want to be better at that. I want to do that, and then kind of get started on something and realize, oh, now I want to get started on that. But I think in doing an overall assessment, I would like to be less grid tied or less fossil fuel tied. And again, I'm not going full blown off grid tree hugger type of thing. But it is interesting to see when to me, I think homesteading is really about self-reliance, and I like to be as self-reliant as possible. I know it sometimes aggravates you when we built our house 17 years ago, and instead of going to you factor in buying trim and trimming out the house, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go to the box store and buy trim. I'm going to cut down trees and mill them and kiln dry them and buy all this woodworking equipment, make my own trim, and then put it in the house. That makes a whole lot much more sense, doesn't it?
Sure.
That seemed logical at the time. But so this idea of, this, I want to start from the beginning on all this. That's where I look and say, well, if I was less reliant on fossil fuels, if I didn't burn as much gas, I didn't burn as much diesel as I do. Now, granted, it means I would have to do a lot of things differently. But maybe after we get some key infrastructure in place, I could back off on some of that. I do think it's neat when I say, hey, I haven't started my tractor in 2 weeks because I've put things in place that don't require me to get it out. Obviously, it's not good for a piece of equipment to sit idle that long or longer. But even looking at electricity, right now I'm just absolutely fascinated with self-power generation. And you and I have talked about this since day one. When we built our house 17 years ago, none of this stuff interested us at all. So we did not build a house that was super energy efficient or took thermal energy into play or solar energy, all those things. It just didn't. It was like, let's build a big house, put a big air conditioner on it, put a big heater on it, we're good to go. And and if I could sell that house, if I could pick it up and sell it and have somebody come get it and take it away, then I would build something totally different. And we've discussed the difference in efficiencies there. But I think it's neat. I'm just fascinated by self-generation of power. There's still a lot of challenges that go with solar and wind and all the other ways of generating power. But I'd like to play with that more. I'd love to see in the next 5 years that we've incorporated more off-grid technology, not necessarily in the house because it's kind of a fool's errand, but at least in our chicken processing, our hog raising, the barn, the workshop, all that type of stuff would be neat to incorporate.
What about what we were discussing the other day with paper plates?
Yes, the old paper plates. So do you find yourself like us, Kelly and I will sit around and be like, why do we buy these things? Why are we spending money on this? And again, creatures of habit. We've been married almost 24 years now, and you kind of fall into a groove of things. But the other day, I'm getting paper plates out of the cabinet to make something, to make breakfast or whatever. You grab a paper plate, throw whatever I'm eating on it. I'm like, paper plates, that is so homesteading right there. That we got a huge stack of paper plates.
Okay, but this is how I look at that. It's less dishes for me to wash and more time I can spend on the farm.
This is true. It is a matter of convenience. Yeah.
The dishwasher doesn't have to run. Is dishwasher homesteading?
Dishwasher is homesteading, but it's not a machine. It's usually the old woman or the old man over there.
We need to get an old woman or an old man.
Stick around. We may have one.
Hey!
The old man part I was talking about. You're way much younger than I am.
Right.
But it is a matter of convenience. But I do have to laugh. It's like, is this all a charade when we do videos about homesteading and I'm eating on paper plates? And if I get convicted by paper plates, what do you get convicted by?
Oh, I thought you were convicting me of paper plates.
Oh no, I get it because I'm the one who usually buys them for you.
What about a Keurig? However, I use the refillable.
Curse that coffee machine. I hate that thing. Coffee is the scourge of the world.
No, it's what makes the world go round.
Yeah, that's one reason why we can't be off-grid, because if we had a solar generation system or off-grid system and you fire up that coffee pot, it'd be like, suck all the power
build
down.
a campfire, make my coffee over the campfire.
Right. I was going to order you a percolator. That'd be good. It'd slow you down. You wouldn't drink as much coffee. It takes longer to make. It's like the guy that wanted to stop smoking, so he started rolling his own cigarettes. He thought it'd slow him down, but he just learned how to roll them faster. Well, as we mentioned, we'd love for this discussion to be a two-way discussion. If we were live, we could obviously be interacting with you all. But let's do the next best thing. Comment below if you so dare. You can either call us out on what we've talked about or share what you guys think you're doing really well at and maybe want to improve on. Maybe a short-term goal, the next 5 years you want to see improvements on. And what things are you buying that you cheat? I think about my Sonicare toothbrush, my electric toothbrush. That's really not homesteading.
But your teeth look so nice.
Just do a little sound effect that goes ding. Yeah, exactly. So again, I guess we all have our crosses to bear, toothbrushes to use. Comment below. We'll wrap a bow on this. Comment below. Let us know what you all think. Let us know what you're running into. And what we'll do is we'll come back around in a couple videos and we'll share some of your comments if you guys are so apt to share them with us that we can read them back. Well, as we mentioned before, check out our, if you're interested in our pig side of what we've got going on, we now have our Pastured Pig podcast that is live. I got some episodes pushed out there now. We'll provide a link below. And don't forget to subscribe if you like this channel and give us a thumbs up. Share it if you like it. We'd obviously love to have more people take part of this conversation. All right. Take care, everybody.